independent. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. Rockland World Radio.
Welcome back to another exciting installment of Twerking 9 to 5. I am your host, Khumbo. I know it has been a while, 2 weeks to be exact, since my last show. I am very excited to be back and do some more exciting things and talk to you about great things and bad things happening this week and over the last 2 weeks. I recently moved to Manhattan. Woo! I made it to the big city, finally. But now I'm back, so I will be back every week on Tuesday, just not at 1, probably closer to this time right now. So yeah, let's get started. Things that have happened in the last 2 weeks since I last did the show. So this episode of Twerking 9 to 5 is going to be about a subject which is near and dear to my heart, that of immigration. Woo! It's so exciting. Everybody loves to talk about immigration. Everyone has an opinion about immigration. So we're going to talk about it. So for those of you who haven't been keeping up with international news, there has been a spree of xenophobic attacks in South Africa, specifically in the KwaZulu-Natal region, province of South Africa, in Durban. A lot of disgruntled, unemployed South Africans have gone on rampages across Durban and have been ransacking shops belonging to immigrants and attacking people. There have been several people who have died and thousands displaced in Durban as they wait to either be taken back to their own countries or see what's going to happen with the situation as it continues to unfold. It's a lot of cries of people saying, oh, you know, these immigrants are coming into South Africa from all over Africa and also really from all over the world. So many people go to South Africa and they settle there. So many people go to Africa in general and settle there. And you have all these people who are saying, okay, all of these other Africans from all these other African countries are coming into South Africa and they're settling in and they're taking our jobs. And so there's this outcry from people. And instead of really addressing problems within government and problems within the economy, the easiest thing to do in this situation is obviously to blame the person who is coming from another country and may or may not speak your language or may not look like you. And so all of these violent attacks are happening. Of course, they're not really happening to any of the Caucasian people in South Africa. It's mainly all of the Black Africans and some such from all these other countries. It's a very unfortunate situation and a situation that I hope as the weeks and the days continue will be resolved. A lot of this started, well, there's some people who are saying that the Zulu king started this entire thing because he said foreigners need to go back where they came from, but he has recently come out saying, oh no, the media misquoted me and I didn't mean to say that, and, you know, basically being very apologetic, which I think is something that a lot of people can do now that people are recording you and people can post stuff on the internet about stuff that you said. And it's very easy to be like, oh no, I actually didn't mean exactly what I said. But I don't know, there are people coming out in defense of him. There was a rally, I think, just yesterday with people saying, oh no, our king is being used as an excuse for these attacks and, you know, his words aren't to blame. And honestly, his words are not to blame. You know, he is one person, obviously with a lot of influence, but he is one person and he had an opinion and he stated this opinion. But also, I don't think it's fair to blame this entire thing on one person's actions. I think that a lot of this is stuff that has been boiling up and kind of been pushed down for a long time, and it's just now erupted. And I think it's maybe the Zulu King was a catalyst, but he is not the main cause of what is going on in South Africa right now. Also because this isn't the first time that this has happened. I mean, this happened back in 2008. There was a string of xenophobic attacks. People were evacuated back to their countries. It was this huge thing. I remember my uncle, who was living and working in South Africa at the time, we had to drive to the border between Mozambique and Malawi to go pick him up because him and several other people had crammed into this little minibus and basically fled these attacks. So this isn't the first time it's happened, and depending on the reform and the conversation that happens after this, it might not be the last. So, I mean, it's just very interesting, I think. Very sad and very interesting. Malawi has evacuated, or has at least said that they're going to evacuate their citizens. I think we were one of the first countries to do it in 2008, and we were definitely the first ones to do it this time around. So we have a lot of problems within our government, but if there's one thing we're good at is retreat. We know how to get out of there fast. So, moving on with immigration. It's great because I think that when you see these news stories on BBC or on Al Jazeera and you're like, oh my gosh, there's all these attacks going on in South Africa, how sad, like, oh, poor them, the poor, misguided Africans. I think we sometimes forget that, you know, immigration is not just a South African issue, it's not just an African issue, it's a European issue, and it's most definitely an American issue. Being an international student and therefore an immigrant in this country, immigration is very near and dear to my heart. I read an article today, which was actually published 2 days ago, on the 19th. The author is, if you guys want to find it at some point, Bruno Rigonati. He is Brazilian, and he is currently living and working in New York. But he published this article that basically said that international students just shouldn't hold their breath with the American immigration system, that it is a broken system, not just for the people who are in this country illegally, but even for those people who are in this country legally, because you spend all this time, as an international student, you come in for your 4 years, and, you know, it's very exciting to be in America and have a taste of a great education system. But after that, it just becomes incredibly taxing and incredibly frustrating to be in this country because you're spending all this money and all this time filling out applications, paying application fees, and you may or may not get the, you know, the extension that's going to allow you to stay for a year, or the, I don't know, the, you know, the work visa that's going to grant you the ability to live and work in this country indefinitely. And so there is a lot with the American immigration system that is also very, very wrong. I mean, when you go from, I mean, I don't think that it would take very much for what is happening in South Africa to happen here. I mean, immigration talks have been getting more and more heated as the election is coming up. Everyone has an opinion on immigration, and just because we have yet to have a really big issue with immigration, just because we have yet to have, you know, people marching through the streets and kicking out all of the Africans and the Mexicans and the, you know, like everyone else who is not originally from this country, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I mean, immigration has become tighter and tighter in this country in just the last 2 years. I mean, the chances of getting a visa have actually dropped from 80% in 2013 to 30.5% this year. In just 2 years. I mean, it's happening. It's going to continue to happen, and it's definitely a conversation that needs to keep happening in terms of immigration and in terms of immigration reform and how that affects the people who are here and affects the people who want to come into this country or want to go into other countries. And I think that immigration, at the heart of it all, is definitely an issue of privilege. And I think that a lot of people who have very strong opinions against immigration, if they really looked at their situation, would realize that they are coming from a place of extreme privilege, and therefore it's never really been an issue. Especially if you hold an American passport, it's never really been an issue for you to be an immigrant even in another country. So I think that a lot of it is coming from a place of privilege, which is something that everyone should remember. We all have different levels and stages of privilege, and it's good to remember that when it comes to issues that we may or may not be so comfortable with. On an awesome, happy note, it is finally warm outside, thank goodness. I still carry a jacket around with me everywhere because I feel like the weather changes sometimes in a second, but I'm so excited that spring is here and soon we will not have to wear our jackets outside and it's gonna be warm all the time. But yeah, I hope that you guys are enjoying your springtime as well. Lord knows I am. I think that is all that I had for today because it was the immigration show. So let me know what your opinions are on immigration, on the attacks in South Africa, on immigration in America, all these big, awesome, great issues. You can follow me on Twitter at One Girl Revolution. That is the number one, girl, G-U-R-L, revolution. So again, that's at One Girl Revolution on Twitter. But also, watch the show. If you haven't tuned in live, that's fine because it is at a different time. But this will be up right now on YouTube in a couple of minutes. So I will see you all next week for another great installment of Twerking 9 to 5. I'm your host, Khumbo. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Welcome to the new sound of Rockland. RocklandWorldRadio.com. Exciting online TV and radio.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Welcome to the new sound of Rockland. RocklandWorldRadio.com. Exciting online TV and radio. Watch and listen to what you've been missing. Broadcasting independent music, art, and culture. From the world of pop to poetry, classical to cutting edge. Movies, comedy, jazz, jams, rock and roll baby, interviews, information, and event listings. Join the revolution. It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.